know that what we did that year, that was magical.
It's an absolute scandal. It's scandalous what happened.
That's what we set out to do, and see that dream become a reality was amazing.
In just its 8th year of Division I athletics, Binghamton University men's basketball team had reached the promised land in 2009, led by a star-studded team of transfers. Local radio host and play-by-play broadcaster Roger Neal was up close to the action night in and night out.
Tiki Mabin was a tremendous, not only an outstanding point guard, but he could shoot three-point shots all over the gym, a great amount of ability. DJ Rivera could score anywhere, outside, inside, quick, superb. Malik Alvin was very good, running the point at times, sometimes a shooting guard. Those three were very good.
At the helm was second-year head coach Kevin Brodus.
Cool dude, flashy, told me what I wanted to hear. He ain't lie, he kept his word.
His desire was not to come in and have a 500 team, but to take the team to that next level of winning the America East and going on to the NCAAs.
Brodus came from powerhouse Georgetown, recruiting players who couldn't locate Binghamton on a map.
I never knew about Binghamton until then.
I did never hear of Binghamton.
While it took some time to mesh, once the calendar flipped to 2009, people around the league took notice.
When Binghamton was down at the half in Vermont, which is always tough to win in, by 25 points at halftime and came back and won the game in Vermont, leaving the entire building stunned. I mean, it was usually very boisterous there, and it was almost total silence. They couldn't believe that any team could come back by 25 at the half and beat them in their own building. Binghamton did. And at that point, all of a sudden, the lights came on that this team could play pretty well.
The Bearcats did not lose the rest of the regular season, taking a 9-game winning streak to the conference tournament.
Alvin. Taken away by Santos. Up for Conley. Fuller, the shot blocker comes back, but Conley with the big-time finish.
Good recovery by the Bearcats.
Binghamton jumping in. The reverse by the senior.
I just remember, like, Dad, we won all these games and we about to lose to New Hampshire.
I knew the game was on the line.
I think my back was turned or something, and I just heard the crowd go crazy.
Oh, the read by Rivera, the steal, and he'll go in for the jam.
I started jumping up and down.
10 seconds to go. It's still a one-possession game, but it's thrown away by the Wildcats. Mabin has it. UNH has the foul. It's short, and Binghamton advances to the America East Championship game for the first time.
You know, I got there 3 hours before the championship game, and it was already outside lines, 100 yards or more long.
The night before the game, we weren't even able to stay at our apartment on campus. We had to stay in a hotel because it was like people camped out in front of the event center, sleep, to get tickets to get in the game. I've never seen that in life. The loudest game by far.
Let's go Bearcats!
That's everything you could dream of right there. We were ecstatic at that point. Sometimes it's unbelievable, like we're really in the American East Championship. So it was definitely a moment of a lifetime.
The game was against UMBC, the reigning champ.
We just knew that we could beat everybody in that conference.
Binghamton had the upper hand that day, and I think fueled a lot by the crowd. The crowd really couldn't wait to explode. As the moment the final buzzer sounded, they had a huge contingent of students and fans storm the court. All of a sudden the realization is that, hey, it's not over yet. There's another game or two, hopefully, coming up.
We want Duke, baby. Let's go.
I'm not sure you would ever want to play. You find out that you're going to play Duke in the first round of the tournament. I mean, that's a pretty stiff opponent. But the excitement was there. When the bus took off, they actually took a tour. There's a preschool on campus, and the bus went by the preschool. All the kids were out with little signs holding up, go Bearcats and everything.
Go Eagles! Go Eagles!
It's on the map now.
I wanted to win so bad. I tried everything I could possibly do.
Duke's overall size and athleticism, in the second half wound things down, but Binghamton accounted for itself very well.
So they were subbing like every 3 minutes. By the time second half came, we were tired.
And I knew for sure if I came back to school, we were definitely going to go back to the NCAA tournament.
Well, it got close, but it didn't happen, yeah, which was the sad part of it.
That was like the most disappointing part.
But things weren't as they seemed. In the midst of the magical run, the New York Times published an article titled, "At Binghamton, Division I Move Brings Recognition and Regret," detailing questionable recruitment of star players, run-ins with the law, and issues in the classroom.
And they would come late. They'd come about 15, 20 minutes late to class. They'd all sit in the back row. They'd slump down. They'd put their hoods up, but basically not participate at all. It was a 3-hour class, so it was meeting once a week. And that was the fateful class in the fall of 2008.
Sally Deer Healy was an adjunct lecturer in the Human Development Department at Binghamton University.
And then break came at about midway through, about an hour and a half in, and they would leave and not come back. They would sign in for each other. How did I know that? Because they signed their friends' names in misspelled. So they were signing each other in and out of class. They were coming late. They were leaving early. They were not turning in assignments.
While she wouldn't say which players were in her class due to privacy reasons, she did say they were the 4 major players.
I would argue that they would remember me, and they would remember that class.
Sally Deer. Did I have Sally Deer? I didn't have her, I don't think.
No.
A couple of my other teammates had her, but I didn't have her.
Sally Deer. I don't know.
I received a visit from the assistant dean who basically said in almost the same words, it would be in your best interests to change this grade.
Were grades changed by other professors that you're aware of?
Yes, they were. Absolutely.
I didn't get my grades changed. I earned my grades.
Me personally, I never had issues with academics. None of the team, from what I knew of, never had any problems with academics. Guys before us, it was seniors we had on our team that year. They all graduated, and we were basically following in their steps. Coach Kevin Brodus, he always told us we had to take care of our schoolwork, study halls, getting there on time, handling our work in order for us to play in games.
Brodus really did make sure we did what we had to do academically. We had tutoring. He'll even let you miss or come to practice late if you got tutoring. So it wasn't like you got to come to practice. I don't care if you got tutoring or I don't care if you got assignment. We told him we had an assignment to do. We weren't going to practice because we had an assignment to do.
So he was really school first?
No, absolutely. So that's why when they were saying it was a scandal about 2 people changing our grades, we never got our grades changed.
While issues in the classroom remain disputed to this day, problems off campus were well documented. Before the magical season began in 2008, Malik Alvin was said to have stolen a box of condoms from the Vestal Walmart.
I want to say like 3 other my teammates in Walmart shopping. And I got all this stuff from my room, and it was like a box of condoms like spread out on a whatever the thing is. They wasn't in a box though. They were like spread out. So I'm walking around. I think I might have been on my phone, and I picked 2 up, put them in my pocket. Totally forgot that I had them in my pocket. I was in the store for maybe like 15, 20 minutes later. I paid for all the stuff that I had in my cart, and a guy walked up to me with like regular street clothes on, asking to speak to me. But I have like, everybody know the basketball team around there, so everybody always walk up to us, ask us to talk or whatever. I'm just thinking it's like a regular person that just want to talk. So the guy walked up to me like, "Can I speak to you?" So we walking and talking, and then he like, "Oh yeah, I'm with the Walmart security." So me still not thinking, like, I forgot that I put them in my pocket. So the guy grabs me. So when he grabs me, I flung him off of me, and there was a lady coming in the store from behind him. And when I flung him, he knocks the lady over, and I just walk out to the Walmart and get in the car with my teammates and go back to campus. So I get back to campus, maybe like an hour later, Brodus called me, like, what happened at Walmart? And I'm like, ain't nothing happened at Walmart. And he like, all right, I'm gonna ask you again, don't lie. I'm like, ain't nothing happened at Walmart, I'm in my room. So he called me down to his office. He like, yo, I got you. They got you on camera at Walmart. So then I went to his office and I told him what happened. But they were making it seem like I went in there, just took stuff, ran out, knocked somebody over, and it didn't happen like that. I mean, the lady did fall and get knocked over, but it wasn't because I like ran out and knocked her over.
She was concussed also. She got a concussion from that also.
Yeah, she said she did. But I met with the lady. She was like, "You're not a bad kid, so I don't want you to get in trouble." I had to do, I believe, like maybe like 120 hours of community service, and I was suspended for the 3 games.
That issue resolved itself as the season went along. Fast forward 1 year when the team was set to defend its America East Championship. 2 major problems arose. First, on September 14, 2009, a student reported her debit card was stolen and used illegally. It later became known several members of the basketball team were behind it.
Obviously back then we were young. I think we were all like 19, 20 years old. We went to a party. Obviously everybody's having a good time. There was an incident. I think a fight may have broke out. Someone picked the debit card up. It was used. Obviously, you know, young kids just made a mistake.
A couple days later, they like, "Yeah, Malik, you in trouble." And I'm like, "I'm in trouble for what?" And they like, it's like something happened with a debit card and blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling the AD, like, I gave you my word last year that I'm not gonna get in trouble no more. I really didn't get in trouble. And then everybody's telling them like, "Yo, Malik ain't had nothing to do with it. He was in the car asleep."
Once we found out that, you know, later that night, that next morning, I woke up and I knew that it was a bad decision, you know, a bad judgment call by doing that. And basically, from there on in, the report came out, you know, and I owned up to it. If I could go back in time, I would take it back, you know, especially to the young lady it happened to. I apologized to her back then. I apologize to her now, 10 years later. But I definitely owed up to it back then.
Coming up next,
That was probably the worst feeling I ever felt.
It was one of the most disappointing days of my life.
another major run-in with the law leads to a mass dismissal of players, and the scandal impacts big names at the university. Nine days after the debit card incident, Tiki Mabin was arrested for possessing and selling cocaine. The next day, he was kicked off the team. Athletic director Dr. Joel Thier said that was the final straw.
The AD was just like, all right, well, until things get cooled off, everybody's off the team.
I can never forget that day. Obviously, it was one of the most disappointing days of my life. Like I said before, obviously having such a great year, me entering the NBA draft and deciding to come back to school. I made the decision to come back to school, to go back, get back to the NCAA Tournament, things of that nature. For that to happen, that was, like I said, you know, that was a traumatic time in my life too also. To know you worked hard all your life for something and it could be taken away from making a bad decision. So I had to own up to it, and from that day forth, I knew I had to make better decisions.
Along with Mabin, Rivera, Alvin, Paul Crosby, Corey Chandler, and David Fine were all dismissed from the team.
That was probably the worst feeling I ever felt.
You know, you see other things at other colleges, guys, you know, get into fights and weapons and things of that nature. So, you know, you might see suspensions and stuff like that. For that case at that time, I thought it was just something, you know, minor. And the penalty and consequences were major, but that's how life goes. You have to own up to what you do.
The credit card thing, they really didn't know what it was, like, so they couldn't pinpoint or why they was kicking us off the team or whatever. But when the Tiki story came out, it wasn't no way to like kick Tiki off and then have us halfway in trouble for stuff that they don't know, so they just got rid of everybody. To kick us off the team and not know exactly what was going on that was ridiculous.
I think in this case, since it was so new to Division I and bigger time athletics, that the shock of it was just something that the upper administration felt they had to act on and did.
But the upper administration was beginning to feel the heat. Just 1 week after kicking 6 players off the team, Thier was reassigned to a different department. 2 weeks after that, head coach Kevin Brodus was placed on paid administrative leave. He later sued the university in a racial discrimination lawsuit, which was settled for $1.2 million. The high-profile departures didn't end there. Amid the scandal, DeFleur announced on January 13, 2010, she'd resign in July. All of these incidents led to Binghamton commissioning longtime Chief Judge of the New York Court of Appeals, Judith Kaye, to investigate the basketball program. Now, no major wrongdoings were found in the 99-page report, but it did find admission standards were lowered, saying, quote, Coach Brodus assumed wider latitude to apply minimum NCAA standards for all player applicants, including candidates who had struggled at prior institutions.
Were those players you think set up to fail in the classroom?
Absolutely. I believe that they basically were treated as if they weren't smart enough to do the work, that it wasn't an expectation that they were there for academics, that there was the expectation was that they were there to play.
I think there were probably at least some schools who had that kind of an idea that, you know, you have in some way lowered your academic standards to bring in kids that they didn't feel for whatever reason. But I guess I asked you the question before. Did some of those coaches who criticized everything, would they have turned down a player like DJ Rivera? Well, I don't know that. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I mean, you've got some pretty good depth if you can turn down a 20-point-a-game scorer.
These scandals of this magnitude have happened at blue bloods like Kansas, North Carolina, and Louisville, to name a few.
What most people find astounding is that it actually happened at Binghamton University. So why BU? Why did this happen at BU? Why did BU take all of this so incredibly seriously, this basketball victory and this need to do whatever you had to do to achieve that over all else, over the other missions of the university, the main one of which is to provide people with a quality education.
Still to come, we look back at the decade of woes since the magical season in 2009.
I'm very competitive and I want to win every game.
Why hasn't the men's team been able to achieve any sort of success, even a winning season? Does the program care more about education or winning now? It's the final home game of this season. The Bearcats take on their in-state rival, the Great Danes of Albany, but the fan base is non-existent. That's what 10 consecutive losing seasons does.
It's just been a tough go since then.
Then was 2009, when the fan base was rocking. On their way to its only NCAA tournament appearance. Since then, the team has not won more than 13 games in a season, reaching double digits 4 times. Their combined record, 80 wins, 231 losses.
We all want to be better. You know, I mean, I'm a competitive person. I know Coach Dempsey's a very competitive person. It's not easy to, you know, to lose, and no one wants to. As I said, I have to, my main responsibility here is as an educator and is to develop our student athletes. So when I look at that, certainly those numbers, the first thing that really probably jumps out, and I look at a lot of metrics, and I don't know this, but I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know the exact number, but if you really took over the last 5 years, the number of games missed by scholarship student athletes because of injury, it's pretty substantial.
This past season, the team lost big man Thomas Bruce for the season due to a concussion. Last year, Willie Rodriguez was in and out of the lineup all year long. The year before that, J.C. Shao was lost to the season before conference play began.
I'm not sitting here trying to make excuses or to defend, because there's a lot of aspects of the program, quite honestly, that I'm very happy with.
Such as having a perfect academic progress rate during the 2016-17 season. APR tracks the eligibility of student athletes through academics and, quote, holds institutions accountable for the academic progress of their student athletes through a team-based metric that accounts for the eligibility and retention of each student athlete for each academic term.
Many of our student athletes, they're coming here to get a great education at a world-class institution, very academically rigorous, and to go out and make a difference in the world. And that is who we are.
The players are as fine young men as you'll see anywhere. They're tremendous character. I see what they do on road trips with academic advisors on hand. I see them study on the bus. They take the academics very seriously. And so You know, I think that, I mean, certainly academically they're in the right direction. The kids are tremendous.
We always favor academics, and maybe that makes us different from other, but you know, there's times where, hey, you got a big test? Okay, you're not going to take this road trip because you got to be here. It's what we do here. It's who we are. It's our identity, and I love it. I get the fact that, you know, we're in a business that's all about bottom line. I think that's a little dangerous, though, when you're at the mid-major level.
If that scandal never hit, where would the team be today, right now?
I think if the scandal did not hit, the team would be in the top 2 or 3 in the conference every year. No question. The potential was there. The fan base would be 4,000 or more a game. And I've asked this question, why couldn't Binghamton University have a program like Gonzaga, for example? Right? They're a great academic school. Is that a dream? Why would it be a dream? I mean, you've got a beautiful event center, you've got great marketing, a campus that's superb, great academics. I don't know why you could not reach that type, or Butler, a competitiveness of that level. I don't see why you couldn't. But you know, it's not something that happens every day. They didn't have success like that overnight either.
But for now, education remains the top priority for BU athletics.
I'm very competitive and I want to win every game, but is it more important to me to graduate every one of our players than to win every game? Yes.
It's not about winning. It really isn't about winning. It's about how these young men have grown up, become great people. They're going to go out and represent us as business people in the world, and they're going to look back at this experience and they're going to say this was part of why I'm successful 15, 20 years from now.
The Bearcats did see a glimmer of hope this season behind the emergence of freshman star and America East Rookie of the Year, Sam Sessoms. Big man Thomas Bruce also returns after missing this past season to concussion symptoms. But some still wonder what could have been with the team a decade ago.
Athletics is supposed to give people motivation and a chance. And I wonder if the players had all worked out and had come in and simply played like they could, and for whatever reason, big or small, did not get into trouble. I wonder what the reaction would have been around the country. Because if it is about second chances for people, Kevin Brodus gave that to those players. The fact that they didn't follow through on that opportunity, in my opinion, shouldn't be a reflection totally on him or the school. They gave those players a second chance. What happened, unfortunately. But I think if the ability was there to even have a better season in the next year after the America East Championship. So if they would have stayed out of trouble, to me that would be a nationwide story of giving people a chance to make good.